I'm standing behind the counter at a beachside cafe in Cairns, wiping down tables at around 9 a.m., when this American couple in their 30s walks in. The guy's wearing a Miami Dolphins cap and cargo shorts. His wife's got her phone out, filming everything. They sit down at the patio table and I bring them menus. Everything's normal until a kookaburra lands on the railing about 2 feet from their table. The bird just sits there, doing that head tilt thing they do. The woman screams, not like a startled gasp, a full horror movie scream. She jumps up so fast her chair falls backward. "It's attacking us!" she yells, stumbling toward the door. Her husband's frozen, holding his menu up like a shield. The kookaburra just blinks at them, totally unbothered. I walk over, calm as anything. "That's just Barry," I say. "He comes by every morning hoping for bacon." By the way, this channel doesn't just tell tourist stories. It tracks the psychology behind why people react like this, why comfort zones collapse when culture shifts. If that kind of insight hits different for you, you belong here. Subscribe. The woman's backed herself against the wall inside. "That thing is huge," she says, breathing hard. "What if it has rabies?" I explain that Australia doesn't have rabies, and Barry's harmless. She makes her husband switch tables. They eat inside, both of them checking the windows every 30 seconds like Barry might burst through the glass. But that was just the beginning. Last month, I watched a guy in his 50s absolutely lose it at a Sydney hotel when a huntsman spider crawled across his bathroom mirror. He called the front desk at 11 p.m., whispering into the phone like he was hiding from a burglar. "There's a tarantula in my room," he said. "It's the size of my hand." Security went up with a container, expecting some tiny house spider. Nope, full-sized huntsman, just chilling on the mirror. The guest had locked himself in the closet. Took 20 minutes to convince him it was safe to come out after they'd relocated the spider. He checked out that night, drove 4 hours to Melbourne instead of staying. 2 weeks ago, a study abroad student from Oregon came into the chemist where I work in Brisbane, panicking because she'd seen a magpie dive bomb someone outside. She wanted to buy pepper spray. I had to explain that pepper spray is illegal here. And also, it's spring. Magpies swoop. That's just what they do. She stared at me like I'd told her we casually coexist with velociraptors. "So everyone just accepts this?" she asked. "You walk around knowing birds might attack you?" I showed her the ice cream container with cable ties trick. She bought a container and walked out wearing it on her head like a helmet. Completely serious. I'm a tour guide in Tasmania. And last winter, I had this college-aged backpacker from Texas absolutely convinced that Tasmanian devils were going to break into his tent at night. We were at a camping site near Cradle Mountain, temperature dropping to about 4 degrees Celsius. He'd read somewhere that devils are scavengers and got it into his head that they hunt humans. Spent 45 minutes at the campfire asking me, very seriously, if he should sleep in the tour van instead. I explained that devils are tiny, scared of people, and mostly eat roadkill. He didn't believe me, set up his tent right next to mine, and kept a flashlight on all night, sweeping it around like he was guarding a perimeter. Next morning, he looked exhausted, saw some devil tracks near the bins, and took photos like he'd survived a close call. I work at a wildlife sanctuary outside Melbourne, selling tickets at the entrance. This American family showed up one Saturday afternoon. Parents probably mid-40s. 2 kids around 8 and 10. The dad bought tickets and asked very confidently where the bear exhibit was. I looked at him, confused. "We don't have bears," I said. He pulled out his phone, showed me a picture of a koala. "These bears," he said, tapping the screen. "The drop bears, right? That's what Australians call them." I had to physically stop myself from laughing. The kids were excited, jumping around asking to see the bears. I explained that koalas aren't bears at all. They're marsupials. The dad looked genuinely shocked. "But everyone calls them koala bears," he argued. His wife was Googling it right there, confirming I was right. The term koala bear is just an American nickname, I told them. They're not even remotely related to bears. The dad seemed almost offended, like we'd been lying to Americans for decades. "Well, that's misleading," he muttered. Then the 10-year-old asked about drop bears. I had to very carefully explain that drop bears are a joke Australians tell tourists, not real animals. The kid looked devastated. They spent the whole visit slightly suspicious of everything I told them after that, like I might be hiding other fake animals. A couple of months back, I was working the counter at a bottle shop in Darwin when this woman in her early 60s came in, looking nervous. She was American, staying at a nearby resort. "Do you have anything that repels crocodiles?" she asked, dead serious. I thought she was joking at first, but she wasn't smiling. She explained that she wanted to go for a morning jog along the beach and had seen crocodile warning signs. "I heard they're scared of loud noises," she said. "So I thought maybe an air horn?" I had to break it to her that crocs aren't really scared of air horns, and more importantly, she absolutely should not jog near beaches with crocodile signs. Those signs aren't suggestions, they're serious warnings. Saltwater crocs are massive, fast, and very dangerous. She seemed annoyed by this, like I was exaggerating. "But people live here," she said. "You can't just never go to the beach." I explained that we go to patrolled beaches, not rivers or mangrove areas where crocs hang out. She left frustrated, like our wildlife was personally inconveniencing her vacation plans. I saw her the next day, jogging on the main tourist beach where it's safe. At least she listened. I'm a barista in Perth, and last summer, this American digital nomad in his late 20s would come in every morning around 7 a.m. Nice guy. Always ordered a flat white and worked on his laptop for hours. One morning he showed up looking shaken. Said he'd seen a snake on his walk to the cafe, coiled up on the footpath. He described it, black with a red belly. I realized he'd seen a red-bellied black snake. Venomous? Yeah, but not aggressive unless you mess with them. He wanted to know why no one was doing anything about it. Shouldn't animal control come get it? He asked. I explained that snakes here are protected, and they usually move on by themselves if you leave them alone. He couldn't wrap his head around that. "So you just let venomous snakes hang out in public?" he said. "Pretty much," I told him. "Long as you don't step on them or try to grab them, they're not interested in you." He stopped doing morning walks after that, started driving to the cafe instead, even though he only lived 4 blocks away. Every time he parked, he'd check under his car before getting out, like snakes might be waiting for him. I work at a hotel in Byron Bay, checking guests in at the front desk. This honeymoon couple from California arrived one evening, probably late 20s, super excited about their beachfront room. Everything was great until about 2 a.m. when the husband called down, speaking in this urgent whisper. "There's something in our ceiling," he said. "It sounds huge, like something's walking around up there." I knew immediately what it was. Possums. We get them in the ceiling constantly, especially in older buildings. They're nocturnal and loud, scratching around and sometimes fighting with each other. I explained this to him. "Possums aren't dangerous," I said. "They're actually pretty cute. Just ignore them and they'll settle down." There was a long silence. "Possums are the size of rats," he finally said, with those creepy bald tails. "And they carry diseases." I had to explain that Australian possums are completely different from American opossums. Ours are fluffy, about the size of a cat, and don't carry rabies. He didn't believe me, made me come up to the room with photos on my phone to prove it. His wife was sitting on the bed, suitcase half packed, ready to leave. I showed them pictures of brush-tailed possums. They're actually adorable, big eyes and fuzzy tails. The wife relaxed a bit, but they still asked to change rooms. We moved them to a ground-floor room. Later found out they left a review complaining about wildlife infestations. I'm a lifeguard on the Gold Coast, and every summer we get American tourists who cannot accept that they're not allowed to swim in certain areas. Last January, this guy in his early 40s, super fit, kept trying to swim outside the flags. We'd whistle him back, explain the rip currents, and he'd nod like he understood. 5 minutes later, he'd drift outside the flags again. Finally, I walked down and talked to him directly. "Mate, the flags are there for a reason," I said. "Rips are dangerous. People drown here every year." He gave me this condescending smile. "I'm from California," he said. "I've been surfing since I was 12. I know how to handle currents." I tried to explain that Australian rips are different, stronger, unpredictable. He waved me off, said he'd be fine. Went right back to swimming outside the flags. 10 minutes later, we had to rescue him. He'd gotten caught in a rip, panicked, and started fighting the current. By the time we reached him on the board, he was exhausted, swallowing water. We brought him back to shore. He sat on the sand for 20 minutes, coughing, not saying anything. Finally looked up at me and mumbled, "Thanks." Didn't go back in the water the rest of the day. I wish more people listened before it got to that point. I work at a pharmacy in Nuosa, and this American woman in her 50s came in last October asking for jellyfish sting cream. Nothing unusual about that, except she then asked if it worked on all jellyfish types, including the deadly ones. I asked what she meant, and she explained she'd been reading about box jellyfish and irukandji. "If I get stung," she said, "how long do I have before I need to get to a hospital?" I had to very carefully explain that if you get stung by a box jellyfish or irukandji, cream isn't going to help. You need immediate medical attention, like ambulance-level emergency. She went pale. "But you let tourists swim here?" she asked. I explained that box jellyfish are mostly in northern waters during summer, and we have stinger nets at monitored beaches. Where she was staying, on the Sunshine Coast, it was generally safe. She bought the cream anyway, but said she might skip swimming altogether. Ended up going to the pool at her hotel instead. Later told me she had nightmares about invisible jellyfish. Last summer, I was cleaning the change rooms at Bondi Beach when I overheard this American college student talking to her friend. She was maybe 20, 21, wearing a wetsuit she'd just rented. "I heard great whites come into this bay," she was saying. "Like, we could literally be swimming near sharks right now." Her friend was nervous too, both of them staring out at the water like they expected to see fins. I interrupted. Probably shouldn't have, but I couldn't help it. "Sharks are around, yeah," I said. "But attacks are super rare. More people die from bee stings than shark attacks in Australia." The girl looked at me like I'd just made things worse. "So there are sharks," she said. I explained that swimmers are protected, beaches have shark nets and drum lines, and most sharks aren't interested in humans anyway. She nodded slowly, clearly not reassured. Watched them stand at the water's high-BTC edge for 15 minutes before finally going in, staying in the shallows the entire time. Never went deeper than waist-high. Her friend kept scanning the water, jumpy every time seaweed brushed her leg. I'm a park ranger in Queensland, working near a popular camping area. Last April, this American family set up camp for the weekend. Parents in their 30s with a 5-year-old daughter. Everything was fine, until the first night when a wallaby hopped through their campsite. Just a regular eastern gray wallaby, totally harmless, probably looking for food scraps. The mom started screaming, grabbed her daughter, and ran to their car. The dad stood there with a camping chair held up like a lion tamer. The wallaby just stared at him, confused, then hopped away. I walked over to see what the commotion was about. The mom was in the car with the doors locked, windows up. "Is it gone?" she called out. I explained that wallabies are basically harmless, like big rabbits that hop. They're everywhere in campgrounds. "That thing was huge," she said. "It could kick someone." Technically true, I admitted, but wallabies don't attack people unless cornered. They're more scared of us than we are of them. The dad lowered the chair, embarrassed. "We thought it was a kangaroo," he said. I explained that kangaroos are bigger, and those can be aggressive sometimes. But wallabies are chill. They spent the rest of the weekend keeping their food locked in the car. The daughter wanted to feed the wallabies, but the mom wouldn't let her near them. I work at a fruit stand on the side of the highway near Rockhampton. We sell mangoes, pineapples, local honey, that kind of thing. Last summer, this American couple, in their 60s, stopped by, driving a rental camper van. They bought some mangoes and were walking back to their van when a cockatoo landed on the woman's shoulder. Just a regular sulfur-crested cockatoo, probably used to tourists feeding it. The woman froze completely, arms out to the sides, not moving. Her husband started yelling, "Get it off her!" The bird just sat there, bobbing its head, trying to nibble her hair. I walked over with some sunflower seeds, coaxed the cockatoo onto my hand instead. "They're friendly," I said. "Just cheeky, looking for snacks." The woman was shaking. "It could have bitten me," she said. "Those beaks are huge." I explained that cockatoos are pets for lots of people. They're not dangerous. Smart birds, actually. The husband wanted to know why wild animals were allowed to just land on people. I didn't really have an answer for that. It's just how it is here. The cockatoo flew off, and they rushed to their van. Later saw them eating their mangoes inside with all the windows rolled up, even though it was 32 degrees outside. I'm a zookeeper in Adelaide, working the enclosures near the front entrance. We have a free-range kangaroo area where visitors can walk through and see kangaroos lounging around. Most people love it. Last winter, this American backpacker in his early 20s came through. Seemed excited at first. He was taking photos, getting pretty close to a big male kangaroo lying in the sun. The kangaroo sat up, scratched itself, then just looked at the guy. Standard kangaroo behavior, nothing aggressive. The backpacker stumbled backward so fast he tripped over a log and landed on his butt. "It was about to charge me," he said, scrambling to his feet. I was nearby and walked over. "He was just sitting up," I said. "Roos do that." The guy was breathing hard, brushing dirt off his jeans. "You can see it in their eyes," he said. "They're planning something." I tried not to laugh. Explained that kangaroos are cautious around humans, not aggressive unless provoked. The big males can be territorial, sure, but this one was chill. The backpacker didn't believe me. Stayed on the path, kept his distance the rest of the visit. Later saw him in the gift shop buying a stuffed kangaroo toy. Guess they're cuter when they're not real. Last spring, I was working as a real estate agent in Canberra, showing an American expat around rental properties. He was relocating for work, mid-30s, seemed pretty laid back. We were viewing a house in a nice suburban area when he asked about the scratching sounds coming from the roof. "Possums," I said casually. "Pretty common here." He stopped walking. "So houses just have possums living in them?" he asked. I explained they're in the roof cavity, not the actual house. Most landlords don't do anything about it because possums are protected. You can't remove them without a permit. He looked genuinely disturbed. "So I'd be paying rent to live in a house with wild animals above my head?" he said. I tried to spin it positively. "Possums are quiet during the day," I explained. "You only hear them at night, and they keep other pests away, like rats." He wasn't convinced. We viewed 4 more properties that day. He ended up choosing an apartment building, 5th floor, specifically because there was no roof access for wildlife. I didn't tell him about the ibises that hang around the bins. He'd find out soon enough. The best one, though, happened just last month. I'm a taxi driver in Sydney, and I picked up this American businessman from the airport. He was heading to a hotel in the CBD, early 50s, suit and tie, looked exhausted from the flight. We're driving through the city around 6 p.m. Traffic's heavy, and suddenly he leans forward. "Stop the car," he says, urgent. I pull over, thinking he's about to be sick. "What's wrong?" I ask. He points at a bat flying overhead. Just a regular, gray-headed flying fox, probably heading to the botanic gardens like they do every evening. "Is that a bat?" he almost shouts. "That thing's massive." I look at where he's pointing. "Oh yeah," I say. "Flying fox. They're fruit bats. Heaps of them around the city." He's staring at it like he's seeing a pterodactyl. "That's the size of a small dog," he says. "And it's just flying around in the city." I explain that Sydney has huge colonies of them, thousands of flying foxes living in parks and gardens. They're harmless, just eat fruit and nectar. His face goes through this whole journey of disbelief to horror to resignation. "Everything here is gigantic," he finally says, sitting back. "Your spiders, your birds, now your bats. What's next? Giant ants?" I almost mentioned bull ants, but decided against it. Some things are better discovered gradually. We drove the rest of the way in silence. When we got to his hotel, he asked me, completely seriously, if flying foxes ever attack people. I promised him they don't. He tipped me extra, said thanks for not laughing at him. I watched him check into the hotel, looking up at the sky every few seconds, like he expected more bats to appear. Sometimes the wildlife here really does feel like another planet. And these stories? They never stop coming. Every tourist season brings new ones, new animals freaking people out, new misunderstandings about what's dangerous and what's just. Tuesday in Australia. The country's not trying to kill anyone, honestly. The wildlife's just doing its thing. But I get it, sort of. If I visited somewhere and saw a moose for the first time, I'd probably lose it too.